Hi, everyone. In this interview, I spoke with William Kellier, who's the Chief Commercial Officer at Interac. We spoke about how the digitization of the Canadian economy accelerated during the pandemic and what role digital payments played in that process, and specifically what impacts he's seen that having on Canadian SMEs. We also spoke about how open banking works and what's got to be done to implement that here in Canada, and what has to be done now to move more government payments and transactions online. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Will Killiard, Chief Commercial Officer at Interac.
Well, hi, Will. It's really a pleasure to be speaking to you today, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to do that. I want to start with your views on what's needed post-pandemic, specifically within the digital payment space. Do we need a revolution in the way digital payments are processed or in the way Canada approaches digital payments? And do you think that's something that Canadians agree with?
Tim, it's good to be with you, by the way. Thanks. A good revolution is good. I would say that revolution can be evolution. And I think that's what we here in Canada are experiencing. The post-pandemic world, or the evolving post-pandemic world, is really focused on the digitalization of everything. Payments are a critical component to that, because I think what is needed more than anything is quicker access to money. You know, one of the basics of economics is when you have money flowing around, the more people that touch it and facilitate that stimulation of the economy, the better. So digitalization of payments is a good thing, because what it does is it gives more people access to money faster, and it provides better data, and it provides a better opportunity for people to leverage that data to make better decisions.
Obviously, open banking has been a bit of a buzzword of late, and I want to get your views on that. First of all, how would you describe open banking? And also what you see as the main differentiators between open banking and the system we have now. And if it is something that we should be implementing here in Canada, how do you think we should be going about that?
I think open banking is a way of saying open access to data, or providing better access to data. And so, as we all know, data is a currency, and we have to protect our data. We have to protect our public persona. And it's just the evolution of different generational views of data, and how and what and when and for what that data can be accessed. Open banking is a bit of a buzzword. I would say it's more about open access to data. And I think the next evolution is really going to be a continuation of regulators and anchor institutions looking at how they can protect and can secure and can better use data to benefit people in their country, their economy, in their company, their customers, clients. And so it's a big responsibility. And I think that sometimes we desensitize the importance of data and access to data and the privilege it is to have that access by just calling it open banking. But I do think it's so much more than that. And we're seeing that here in Canada. I mean, the government has been very protective and is working feverishly to evolve regulations and protect people's access to data, and looking at what that means and how and what role government should play in doing that. And that's something in my current role that we're also very, very focused on, is how do we ensure that we're protecting everything that is provided to us in a transaction message, or as part of a customer relationship, or as custodians of payment transaction information for Canada. I think that the government is taking the right steps. They're seeking influence and seeking input from industry, which is, I think, vitally important. I think that's very responsible in understanding there is an ecosystem out there, and that there are deep domain experts and people that live and breathe this, institutions that live and breathe this every day. So I think that's very prudent. I think that's very wise, seeking industry counsel. We do have a very, pro-consumer regulator here, which is great for protection and ensuring that things are done for the greater good of Canada and Canadians. So that's very important.
Sounds good. Well, I want to switch tack a little bit. SMEs are the backbone of the Canadian economy. They account for over 96%, I think, is a figure of our employment and a very big percentage of our GDP. Um, in terms of how you see financial transformation benefiting those smaller and medium companies, what are the elements that you think will benefit them most?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And, Tim, I am so passionate about the SME market in this gig economy. And that's one of the things I love about the Canadian DNA the most is, everyone is a entrepreneur or an entrepreneur at heart. And I just love that. And I've seen that in emerging markets work so well around the world. And what I like to see is you mentioned better informed. I think that one of the things industry can do is take these larger scale investments and not level the playing field for leveling the playing field, but downsize, if you will, large scale ERP systems, enterprise resource planning systems, other things that have benefited larger corporate and make them more approachable and easily digestible for the small medium enterprise segment. I think that's very, very key. So I think that part of the digitalization and the transformation of the economy has driven small medium enterprise into this world. And what they're seeing is, wow, I can understand it, I can digest it, and there are solutions in market that other big guys and gals have had access to that maybe we haven't. So now small medium enterprise can enjoy that. The other thing I think small medium enterprise is seeing is that with the industrialization or the commercialization further of some of their processes and some of their functions, they have better data, they have better infrastructure that's more easily digestible to banks and other institutions and regulators and authorities that can facilitate and that can move forward their business in more creative ways. Like, for example, trade receivable finance, or if you look at some of these receivables ledgering at the till that could be used as a surrogate for income. Banks would then use that. I've used those type of mechanisms around the world to lend money to small, medium enterprise, to large corporates even. So I think that you're seeing, to more succinctly answer your question, you're seeing the benefit of the larger things and technology evolution now coming more, I hate to say down market, but coming more, downstream to the small and medium enterprise segments, and they can benefit from those. So it's a very exciting evolution and phenomenon that's happening even more so now because of COVID, post-pandemic.
For sure, it's undeniable that digital payments have been a winner, let's say, through the COVID-19 crisis. But there's one area where that hasn't really taken or been driven as far as it should be, which is payments to governments or between governments as citizens. Um, are you seeing that on your end? And if so, what do you think has to be done, and particularly by who, in order to move more government transactions online?
You know what? I see tremendous advocates in government, and I do see a national pride really in using, again, Interac transfer, for example, for distribution of CERB payments and other sort of government stimulus payments. The good thing about that is that it's more secure. Again, it provides an endpoint that are in community. So people don't have to travel. So the money gets to people faster, safer, and there's better data and there's better control and security. So I do see the government here moving faster and actually embracing, Interac and embracing other payment forms as being a facilitator. And I'm really bullish on that. I've actually seen it more in Canada than I have in many places throughout the world. Because again, there's this Canadian pride, this nationalism, and people love Interac and view it as a safe, sound, ubiquitous for the greater good of Canada brand. So it's been easier for us in my current role to help facilitate those type of payments from government. With this vaccination passport and with better credentialing of government IDs and OHIP cards and health cards and different types of credentials that people have, creating this, again, open access wallet that is controlled by the citizen or by the individual, but that provides a one centralized approach to credentials management and supplying those credentials to different kinds of authentication points or for needs that people would have to identify themselves or provide credentials. So that's a big focus for us right now. And I think for the industry at large, as again, we embrace technology to try and make a better life experience for Canadians, but also to, again, saying the word I've said so many times, safety and security as well.
I want to take 30 more seconds if you'll allow me to. And I want to basically give you those 30 seconds to put forward a pitch. You could pitch anybody in the country or any organization in the country who you think has the power to improve Canada's financial system. So I'd like to know what one thing you would pitch to that person or organization to really get Canada leading or moving in the right direction in terms of the future of our financial system.
I think that it starts with the consumers. I think that consumers and I think citizens have a voice. I think Canadians are very effective at using their voices to be heard. And I think that government is receptive to hearing. I think that there are the right movements in government, in regulatory bodies and spheres that are approaching it the right way. I see a very pragmatic, very measured, very intelligent approach to what's changing and how it can change. I see that in relationships that we have with senators, with MPs, with various forms of regulators in government. We're really coming together as Canadians and as regulators and as industry to provide solutions. And the adoption of those solutions are going to take time, but I think we have to do more of the same. And I think that we have to continue to focus on connecting the heart and the head and the hand. And I think, continued good things will happen.